Today we are talking with Makafui Awuku, and he is the principal, I think the CEO, the leader of a company called Mckingtorch Creatives, which he...
Mckingtorch Africa.
Mckingtorch Africa.
Yes,
which
it used to be Mckingtorch Creatives.
Okay.
And it became Mckingtorch Africa.
I see. Now, where did that name come from?
Right. So, growing up, I lost my dad when I was just 11 years old. And I grew up with my mom. And my mom also passed on in 2005, just before I got admission to the university. I had nothing, but then I realized that my life was very useful for other people around me. So I tend to spend my time creating solutions for problems other people have around me. And I've realized that even though I was struggling with my own dreams, my own goals, and my own destiny, my life was still relevant for other people around me. And I could see people's life being changed because of the support systems I've created for them. So Mckingtorch is my own vision. It's my own purpose in this life. It's made up of 3 words. The word Makafui, which is my first name. King, that is God as a source of salt. Salt seasons food, so salt seasons life. So through God's inspiration, our life can make an impact for our generation. And then also touch as in light, touch light, which means that your life should shine in the path of the people you come around. So that's just what my life has been when it comes to my the aspect of my life that has to do with poetry and spoken word. If it has to come to the aspect of my life that has to do with publishing a book in 2015, a personal development book for tertiary students. Hopefully, I'll make the soft copies available to you so that you can share with your students. When I was done with my university education, one of the things I've realized is there was a big gap between our educational system and industry. And then there was a huge skills gap where a lot of young people are finishing school with good grades, but then they get out there in the job market and then they realize that.
Now you're in Ghana. You're in Accra, Ghana.
Yes. Yes.
And from what I met you through my friend Pearlyn Budu,
yes,
who I met in Ghana back in 2011, and you were telling me how you all went to the same church, or you go to the same church.
Yes.
And you had a job. Tell me about this job you had at the church, managing some aspect of the property.
Well, so my engagement with my church has been very interesting. It has three dimensions to it. So whilst I was in the university, after my 3rd year, I ran out of money to continue with my education. So I had to defer my course for a year, drop out of school, find a job, work for a while, and come back and finish my course. That was when I met my senior pastor, Reverend Richard C. Whitcomb. He's an American, but he's been in Africa since 1982.
So you did go back and finish your degree?
Yes, I did.
What was your field of study for your degree?
I studied BSc marketing. I have a degree in marketing. But also, whilst I was doing my course, there were some key and very interesting courses that I took along the line. I did. There was an opportunity for me to do sports marketing for a year. I also did service marketing. Then also there was an opportunity to do environmental management. That was a course that was introduced as an optional course for the whole school, and students were allowed to decide whether they wanted to add it as an elective. And more than 10 years ago, I thought that, well, in a few years, this course may be very relevant. Sustainability may be the next big thing. So I was like, let me take this course, even though I didn't know what I was going to do with it at the time. At the time I was taking the environmental management course, I had no idea I'm going to be sitting here with you right now, being a big name in the waste management value chain sector.
So you have the degree, and then you have the experience working for your church. And
Yes.
then now, have you had corporate jobs as well, or jobs in the business community?
Yes. So a couple of other jobs. I've worked at a call center before. So we have a call center for the Ghana Health Insurance System, and then also for the Ghana Power Grid, which is the Ghana Electricity Company. They outsource their customer service and call center to a private company, and that's the first big private company I've worked with. I worked with them for
So you have the degree, and then you have the experience working for your church. And
yes.
then now, have you had corporate jobs as well, or jobs in the business community?
Yes, so a couple of other jobs. I've worked at a call center before. So we have a call center for the Ghana Health Insurance System, and then also for the Ghana Power Grid, which is the Ghana Electricity Company. They outsource their customer service and call center to a private company, and that's the first big private company I've worked with. I worked with them for at least 14 months until my younger sister fell sick and was on admission in the hospital. So I had to resign from the job to take care of her. But then, yes, I've worked in that corporate sector. I've also worked as a soccer coach at American International School. It's a school in Accra here that runs the American curriculum. I've worked there part-time for 6 years. I teach children to play field soccer, and I help develop their leadership and communication skills. Then also, I've worked for an advocacy organization called One Ghana Movement. It's an organization that works in the space of water and sanitation, and they're finding justice for people who have been affected by disasters. So these were a couple of places I've worked over the period.
Now, when did you start Mckingtorch?
So after my last job as an operations manager with my church, I applied for President Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative. When President Obama was in office, he introduced a program for young African leaders where he wanted to find young people doing great things in their communities and help develop their leadership capacity to be able to do more. So they have regional centers across Africa. One of them is in Ghana. So I applied for the Young African Leaders Initiative program.
Now, when did you start Mckingtorch?
So after my last job as an operations manager with my church, I applied for President Obama's Young African Leaders Initiative. When President Obama was in office, he introduced a program for young African leaders where he wanted to find young people doing great things in their communities and help develop their leadership capacity to be able to do more. So they have regional centers across Africa. One of them is in Ghana. So I applied for the Young African Leaders Initiative program in 2017, and I got admitted into the program. So I traveled to Nigeria for 5 weeks. They have a satellite campus there. I was in Nigeria for 5 weeks when I did a civil engagement course for 5 weeks. At the time, I was running my own NGO called Students Initiative Ghana, which I started whilst I was still in the university. The essence of that NGO was to help develop the leadership skills of others. So they have regional centers across Africa. One of them is in Ghana. So I applied for the Young African Leaders Initiative program in 2017, and I got admitted into the program. So I traveled to Nigeria for 5 weeks. They have a satellite campus there. I was in Nigeria for 5 weeks when I did a civil engagement course for 5 weeks. At the time, I was running my own NGO called Students Initiative Ghana, which I started whilst I was still in the university. The essence of that NGO was to help develop the leadership skills of other young people. And then I developed a memory enhancement and a brain training program to help young people with learning difficulties. In Ghana, we have a big problem where exams failure rates has become a big problem, where failure rates are 50% and more at almost all levels, and a lot of young people are getting frustrated because they are not making it in the exams to move to the next level of education. So what I did was I developed a memory enhancement and a brain. So I came back from Nigeria and I was supposed to do a compulsory internship program. That was when I started with the advocacy organization, and they put me on a team for water and sanitation. So that was when I started having ideas of doing things from plastic waste. So whilst in the office, I started collecting bottles from the office. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the bottles, but I was collecting them every week and I was sending it home. Then 2 months before Christmas, I was like, well, what can I do with the bottles? So I'm a self-taught visual artist. My medium of art is plastic waste. I don't do paintings, but I work with plastic waste. And then I'm also a poet. I do performances. I perform on stage here in Ghana. I perform in Nigeria. I've recorded one of my poems in the UK. The BBC also recorded one of my poems in the studio in London. So what I did was I looked at the plastic bottles and I was like, so whilst in the office, I started collecting bottles from the office. I wasn't sure what I was going to do with the bottles, but I was collecting them every week and I was sending it home. Then 2 months before Christmas, I was like, well, what can I do with the bottles? So I'm a self-taught visual artist. My medium of art is plastic waste. I don't do paintings, but I work with plastic waste. And then I'm also a poet. I do performances. I perform on stage here in Ghana. I perform in Nigeria. I've recorded one of my poems in the UK. The BBC also recorded one of my poems in the studio in London. So what I did was I looked at the plastic bottles and I was like, Christmas is in 2 months. Can I do a Christmas tree from the bottles? That was the question I was asking myself. So I did a sketch of a tree, and then I found a welder in my community, and I asked him whether he can weld iron bars for me in the form of a tree. So I paid him and he did it for me. So I brought the frame back home. What I did was I looked at the plastic bottles and I was like, Christmas is in 2 months. Can I do a Christmas tree from the bottles? That was the question I was asking myself. So a day before Christmas, I finished the entire tree. I used 396 plastic waste bottles to do the entire tree. And then I bought Christmas lights and put it in the tree. So I moved the tree in front of a major street, and over 30,000 people saw that tree because it's a major street where a lot of cars pass. And I did some documentaries, I did some narratives about the project on social media, and it went viral. So at the time, I didn't have any plan of starting a business in the waste management value chain. I was just having fun trying to create a solution from plastic waste. Then I realized that, well, I could do a couple other things from waste. So I registered the business as a sole proprietorship, Mckingtorch Creatives at the time. And I started to think about what else can I innovate? What else can I create? So that's how it started.
So what year was this when you started?
2017, December. Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me about this plastic waste problem in Ghana.
Right.
In Accra in particular.
Right. So plastic waste is a big problem here in Accra. I've visited a couple of cities in Africa. It seems to be a problem in a lot of the other cities in Africa. It didn't used to be like that before. In the past, we used to eat from glass plates. We used to drink from glass bottles, and we used to.
So what year was this when you started?
2017, December. Yes.
Okay. Now, tell me about this plastic waste problem in Ghana.
Right.
In Accra in particular.
Right. So plastic waste is a big problem here in Accra. I've visited a couple of cities in Africa. It seems to be a problem in a lot of the other cities in Africa. So it created a problem where because we don't have an effective waste management system for managing this plastic waste, and because we have challenges with the enforcement of sanitation and environmental laws, we ended up in a place where there was a very large scale of plastic pollution across the city, where there were illegal dump sites across the city. landfill sites were not being properly managed, and citizens were just littering the environment indiscriminately. So, and this has been a problem, and it has affected us a lot because in our market spaces, in our lorry stations, and also on our tourism sites, that's the beach fronts. When flooding happens, most of this plastic waste is washed up to the shore, and it can take even up to 30 days for management of these beaches to even clean it up. So this is the nature of the plastic waste problem we have. And then also there's this artificial form of pollution associated with the plastic waste problem. Because our landfill sites are not treatment sites, food waste, that is one of the biggest waste in Ghana and globally. It generates methane gas, and this methane gas causes accidental fires on these landfill sites, which causes air pollution also. Chemicals from these landfill sites also leaches into the underground water and pollutes the water underground. So this is the waste problem for Ghana and for Accra.
So, so you've been doing a number of things over the past few years in terms of dealing with this plastic waste, and the latest thing you're telling me about that you're in the process of launching is this footwear that is made from the upcycled waste. Is that correct?
Yes.
So tell me about that project.
Okay. So when I registered Mckingtorch Africa, I was looking at two things. I was asking my question: the things I'm going to create, are they going to be scalable? Can we use them to tackle the plastic waste problem? Can we also use them to tackle youth unemployment? Can we also create systems around it that has replicable, duplicable things that can be done in other countries? These are always the questions I'm always asking myself when I'm creating something, because youth employment is a big problem. So if I'm creating a solution that cannot be scaled up, that cannot be used to create jobs for people, then the question is, why am I wasting my time doing it? And the sandals has actually been launched already. It was launched in July, and we've started selling. We've done more than 40 days since the launch. We've sold over 350 pieces of the sandals already.
How do you sell?
Yes. And
how do you sell them?
So when we launched, I wrote a letter to Total Petroleum Ghana. I was actually part of a startup competition they ran last year. Out of 1,200 participants, I got shortlisted. I was part of the last 16. So I kept a relationship with the company and the CEO. So when I innovated the sandals, I sent him a mail that I've done this innovation. I'm looking for some partnership and support to launch it. So I got invited to the head office for a meeting with the management team, and they decided that they wanted to give me a kiosk at one of their prime stations in Accra. So we have a branded kiosk for the footwear in one of the prime Total Petroleum stations here in Accra. We also have a website. We have a shop on our website. We also have a shop on Instagram and then Facebook. So people place orders through the shops that we have online. People also go to the physical shop at the Total Petroleum to buy. So this is how we sell.
I see. So it's primarily online sales?
Yes, online and then the physical shop.
Where is the physical shop?
So the physical shop is in Total Petroleum Fuel Service Station in Accra. They gave us a physical location in one of their 4 service stations in Accra where people can walk in to experience the product and buy the product.
So who's buying these sandals? Is it mainly women, men, young people, older people? Who are they targeted at?
Well, these sandals are targeted at everybody. We have sizes for kids, we have sizes for young adults, we have sizes for older people. So parents are buying for their kids, young people are buying for themselves, older people are also buying for themselves. So it's targeted at almost everybody.
So you have a whole range of sizes and styles?
Yes, we have a whole range of designs and sizes.
Okay, I'm looking at one on the website right now. It's very colorful.
Yes.
And the bottom almost looks like cork.
Yes,
Something like
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
But is the whole thing plastic?
No, the whole thing is not plastic. So the bottom part is made from jute and cork, and then also the top part is what we have used the plastic waste to make.
I see. What and cork? You said
Jute, jute,
how do you,
jute, jute, Jute.
I don't know what that is. What's jute?
Okay, so jute is made from trees.
Ah,
Yeah, and they
okay.
can use it to make soles for sandals. So the Birkenstock brand, which is a global brand, makes their soles from jute. So it's a similar material.
Okay. They're very attractive sandals.
Yes, they are.
Very nice look. So uh, you have someone doing the design, someone or one's doing the design of these sandals and the
Yes,
manufacturing process and everything.
yes. So let me walk you through the process a bit. So basically, there's an aspect where we go and buy the waste. We call it a waste buyback program, where we buy waste from the communities, from organizations that aggregate the waste and sell. We go and weigh them. A kilo of waste is actually about 80 pesos. Let me see if I can convert that to dollars. So 6 kilos of waste will give us $1. So 6 kilos of waste, you can get it for $1 on the market.
Yeah.
So we buy the waste and we send the waste to a site where there's a shredder. They crush it into smaller pieces for us. We bring it to our facility, we sanitize it, we sort it, we mix them up depending on the colors that we want to get. And then we disinfect it. Then we use the machine to turn it into the leather-like material. Then it goes to the shoemaker for production. I sit down with the shoemaker to discuss the couple of designs that we can do. The material is a bit harder than leather. So the kind of designs we do are influenced by the fact that they have to be extremely comfortable on the feet of people. Some designs are more comfortable than others. So we are only doing designs that are extremely comfortable on the feet because of the nature of the material. Then also I have to go to the market and go and buy the soles for the production on large quantities and then send it for branding. They brand the company logo inside the sole before it comes to the shoemaker for production. And when the shoemaker is done with the production, it comes to our end where we do the labeling, we put the tags on them, we package them, then it goes to the shop, and then it goes to the online shop where people can know what is available for them to buy.
So you contract out the manufacturing of the.
Not so just the production of the shoe. That's the shoemaking aspect. But then the production of the material is done in-house. But then we outsource the shredding because we don't have the shredder machine to shred ourselves yet. And it's actually cheaper for us to shred with an outside company at the moment. And then also we outsource the branding, the label, because we don't have the machine for that also.
So what does your organization look like to do all of this? What's your staff?
Well, I have a staff strength of just 5 employees, but then Mckingtorch Africa has a volunteer program. We have over 100 volunteers in Ghana. We have over 30 volunteers in Africa and across the world that are supporting in various ways. One of the things that I wanted to do was to create a business model that people in the community can buy into and feel part of. So we created a volunteer program that allows people to volunteer their time, volunteer their skills and expertise, volunteer their money, and volunteer plastic waste to the project. So we have a small staff size, but then we have a large pool of volunteers we depend on. So volunteers come in and work all the time whenever they are free, and we offer mentoring and guidance support for them along their personal journeys in life.
I see. So the manufacture and sale of the shoes, that business is a for-profit business.
Yes, that component is a for-profit component.
and you mentioned that you're looking to sell to all kinds of people with this business, and what are you doing to build the brand and build a relationship and loyalty with these customers for the shoes?
So basically what we are doing is to make sure that the sandals and the slippers, the quality is very good. We are actually working on certification with the Ghana Standard Board. I've done some inquiries also relating to ISO 9000 certification. That takes longer for you to acquire. Then also we have a customer database we have created around the project. So if you buy from us, if you do inquiries about the sandals, we take your details and we keep it in our system. We use this to reach back out to customers, get their feedback on their experience with the products, and if they want some improvement, if they may want something else. So we have a database of customers. We have other products that we are selling where we introduce the customers and we encourage them to also buy these items. But then also we want to also sign up our customers to waste segregation, waste separation programs where they can separate their waste at their homes and their offices, and then they can use it to redeem some products or souvenirs from the company. So these are some of the things we are doing.
I see. So you are developing, designing these footwear products.
Yes.
You're marketing and selling the footwear products in addition to manufacturing them.
Yes.
And you have, again, you have the volunteer side of your efforts. So what are those, what's the focus of the volunteer part of the organization?
Okay. So the focus on, so the focus of the volunteer program is one, to be able to pull together young people who are in the communities doing nothing, young people who are in the universities hoping that when they finish school, they can find meaningful jobs to do, and then offer them an opportunity to learn, offer them an opportunity to work. That becomes a very good pool from which we can employ other people to work full-time with the organization when we have additional investment to engage more people. Because then it means that we have groomed them, we have mentored them, and then we can actually put them into the mainstream organization when we need to do recruitment. So anytime we have to do full-time recruitment, we are not going to be looking outside our volunteer program. We are going to be looking within our volunteer program to recruit people. So the volunteer program will eventually create jobs for the young people within our system. Also, the volunteer program is such that we offer a mentoring support and career guidance support for these young people that are within the program. I let them take a personality test assessment. I let them take aptitude tests. I let them take abilities and passions tests. We help them with goal setting, time management skills, and we connect them with other mentors to provide support for them on their personal journey. So that's the focus of our volunteer program.
Mm-hmm. So obviously, you are, a key person in this whole thing. The whole thing kind of centers on your passion and your work. What other key resources do you have in the organization in terms of either people or equipment, or what makes this business go besides Makafui?
Right. So one of the things I've done, or one of the things I've been wanting to do, was to let the business run without me. So even with the innovations I've developed, even with the products I've developed, I've documented the processes and the systems. So if I have to step aside, anybody who is going to run the project knows what to do, what the key processes are, what the standards are, and how to be able to attain the quality we want in the product and the services that we offer. So everything is documented, even though I seem to be the main man behind it. But then because we want to scale up the projects, we want to create more jobs for people, I'm not limiting the project to myself, because then we cannot grow enough if we go along that line. Now we have some machines. We have a machine that we use to make the leather from the plastic waste. We have spraying machines. We have welding machines. We have a workshop. We have a rented facility where we do the work. I have a partner. He's an absent partner because he's not physically within the business, but he works in the oil and gas sector, and he's an investment and finance person. So that's the other key person within the organization. Yeah, so these are some of the key resources that we have.
Mm-hmm. So speaking of the finance part, it can't be inexpensive to assemble the machinery and everything, and develop the process and design and manufacture these shoes. How do you finance that operation?
Right. So when I started this project, the focus was for it to run like a social enterprise because of the volunteer aspect, because of the advocacy component, because of the institutional research partnership aspect. So in terms of financing, the financing has been from my own pocket and then that of my partner initially. But also the project is designed to secure and apply for grants within the sector. So there are a couple of grants targeted at green businesses tackling the plastic pollution problems and climate change problems. So our processes, our systems are designed in a way that we are able to apply for these grants regularly. We've already won one last year, which is the World Bank grant for $10,000. We've got shortlisted for 3 grants as I speak to you now. Before the end of the year, we are looking at securing at least $40,000 for the project. Then also, I had to pitch the whole footwear project to my partner a week ago concerning the sales forecast, concerning the budget for production that we need. So in terms of financing, this is the structure. This is how the project has been able to survive up to now. Mainly in the last 2 years, it's been mainly a lot of research and experiments. We're not really selling any products on a daily basis. It was more of doing a lot of experiments, doing a lot of research, finding out what works. So a lot of money has been spent for which we are now coming to start getting the benefits on those research.
Mm-hmm. These other staff members, what are they doing? You mentioned you have a finance person.
Yes. So I have a team member in Canada who is an advisory board member who manages our social media and website development for us. I have a team member who is also in Canada. He's my mate here from Ghana, but he's in Canada at the moment doing his master's. He's our grant officer who helps in putting together grant proposals for the organization. I have a creative director who helps me to fine-tune the creative ideas that I have that we want to scale up. I have an assistant. I'm the production manager. Aside being the CEO, I'm also the production manager. Mm-hmm. And then also I have an assistant production manager. Then I have a foreman and I have a couple of hands, should I call it handsmen, who do the physical work that we have to do to produce the items. Aside myself, I do that work also myself. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so basically this is a bit of, we have an accountant. It's not a full-time job. He's there. We do the bookkeeping, and when it's time for us to submit, we submit to him for him to prepare the books for us to be able to submit to the regulatory authority. So this is a bit of the structure.
Mm-hmm. So looking at the revenue from the footwear business, and I realize you're just getting started with this, but maybe some of this is projection, but how much do you anticipate selling each of these items for, just ballpark, and what would be the cost of producing each of those products? Okay,
so when it comes to the cost of producing the footwear, we are looking at just a moment. So about $8. It costs $8 to produce each of these footwear. Currently, yes, $8 US. Mm-hmm. To produce, to package it and make it ready for the market. And then also currently we are selling at a promotional price of about $15.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a promotional price because we wanted to see how people were going to respond to the product and the price before we review the pricing. But we will be selling at a higher price than that because recycling is not cheap. Upcycling is not cheap. People think because it's recycling, upcycling, it should be cheaper. But the truth is the value addition is not always cheap. And we want to make sure that we are getting something on the product so that we can reinvest that money into recovering the waste and producing more to meet demand. Yes.
Now, what do similar products cost in Ghana?
Similar products cost more than that. Some
Not
of them.
Necessarily. I don't mean necessarily recycled products, but just if I'm looking at one of your sandals versus other sandals I could buy.
Yeah. Well, similar products cost about $26 for the same quality.
Okay. And so would your aim be ultimately to sell in that same price range?
Yes.
I see. So that's why the 15 is the promotional price.
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure how people were going because of the pandemic and people were not working, people were not going anywhere. So like if I'm selling a sandals or a slippers, where am I going to wear it to? And then if people are not working, they are not earning income, they will be spending their money on essentials and not buying sandals to wear. So I wasn't sure how people were going to respond to the product. So I decided to start at a price that is reasonable enough for people to try it out and we can pick it from there.
Now, are you able to sell internationally these products?
So because of the lockdowns of the borders, we are able to sell, but what we've done is people have bought from Ghana and whilst they're able to get on some of these evacuation flights, they've been able to travel with it. We've also been able to sell to somebody in London where it was shipped by a shipping agency. So yes, we are able to export. We are now trying to set up our own Alibaba and Amazon accounts from which we can be doing export business. So yes, we are able to do that.
Okay, and the costs, the main costs that go into making these this footwear. Again, you mentioned the cost of the recycled plastic, the processing costs, the manufacturing costs.
Yes.
Are there any other costs that
So we have the processing of the waste, the buying of the waste, the processing of the waste. We have the branding of the soles, the buying of the soles. We have the manufacturing of the shoes. We have the processing of the leather-like material from the waste. We have the packaging. We have a marketing cost, and we have logistics like the transportation cost. So, and then we have salaries and other material costs. So these are some of the key cost elements of the project.
So what partners do you have in this business that help you execute this whole thing?
Well, at the moment, one of our key partners is Total Petroleum that has given us a physical space where we can sell the product.
What is that? What is that entity? That outfit?
Total Petroleum is an oil marketing company. Yes.
Total.
The French. Total. Yes. Total. Yeah. My Ghana accent, right?
It's all right. No.
Yeah.
So they have a marketplace area.
So in their 4 service stations, they put this solar kiosk that they imported from France that they can use for temporal events. So when I wrote to them, they decided they were going to give me one of the kiosks to use. So I even send you some images of that on WhatsApp for you to see later on.
Yeah.
So they are one of our partners, and aside the kiosk that we have with them, they have asked us to submit a letter requesting for funding. We are looking for some funding to develop the production process to be able to deliver. At the moment, the turnaround time for delivering one sandals is a week or 2.
Mm.
which we want to reduce to just 3 days for customers. So we need to develop our capacity to deliver within the period we want to deliver. So they are trying to see if they can advance some sponsorship money for the production. Their regional and global outfits have also taken a look at the project. They've taken interest in the project. They are looking at if the products can also find their way into outlets within their spaces globally and in the region. And then whether we are willing to move into other countries in Africa to replicate the same project. So I submitted an expansion and growth strategy plan to them just today, which they requested for. Then also, one of the other partners we have is Tallow Oil Ghana. What Tallow Oil Ghana does is that the waste that comes from their office facility, we build a waste segregation container for them. So they put it inside. When it is full, we go and retrieve it. We don't pay for it. They give it to us for free.
So what aspects of your business model in this area would you like to improve? Or if the students are working on some aspect of the business, what would you like to see them focus on?
Yes, so I've been waiting for this particular question. Very important for me. So basically, the biggest challenge we have now has to do with developing an effective supply chain management for the sandals and slippers production. The key aspects of the whole production process, as I've explained before, includes the waste buyback program, where we are buying the waste from the communities and organizations, sourcing the raw materials for production, creating the leather-like material from the waste, the production of the sandals itself, and then the marketing and sales. Now, with the waste buyback program, the biggest problem we have is one of them is the logistics. It's very expensive to transport waste in the city. And very often the value of the waste you are transporting is the cost of transportation can be 10 times the value of the waste you are transporting.
Yeah.
So if you are not smart, you are going to spend all your money transporting waste, and then the value of the waste is not even up to half of the cost of transportation. So you have to now develop an effective database of waste aggregators across the city who can supply waste to us in larger quantities. So we know that even though people are excited about giving us waste, but then the quantity people want to give are very small, that the cost of collection is a problem. So it's very difficult to take from them. So sometimes I encourage people to have a plan for 6 months or 1 year where they segregate their waste. In a year's time we can collect from them, but people don't have the patience to segregate waste for that long.
Or the size or the space.
Exactly. So one of the things we are doing is to give them a collection sacks that they can keep the waste in it. So when it's time, we go and move the sack and we give them a new sack. So that is one of the challenges we have. Then also the quality of the waste that we are getting. So we don't work with contaminated waste.
You don't work with what?
We don't work with contaminated plastic waste. So because the waste is left in the gutters, in the environment, and sometimes in Ghana, waste is not actually segregated. Plastic waste is mixed with food waste, it's mixed with chemical waste, and eventually the value and the quality of the waste you are getting for production is very low. But the program we are doing is such that we don't have the capacity to work with contaminated waste. It creates a hazard, a health hazard for our workers. So it's against our policy to work with contaminated waste. So we seek to collect a certain quality of waste from out there in the environment. So we are trying to make sure that wherever our waste are being collected from, the quality is the right quality. Because if it's extremely contaminated, it will increase your processing and treatment cost. Because you have to spend more to treat it to get it to the quality you want before you can work with. So that's the other challenge. Then also with the buyback, you'd have to. There is no market price for the value of waste in Ghana. So you have to always negotiate with those you are buying from to sell it to you at whatever price that is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And we always have to weigh the waste. A lot of people don't understand the how the waste is priced. People think that it has to be counted physically, but we have a weighing scale. We weigh in kilos and then we pay for it. So that whole process of recovering the waste and having it shredded and processed, those are some of the key challenges we have with that particular process.
Mm-hmm.
Then also when it comes to the sourcing of the source for the production, the jute material that I've spoken to you about is imported.
Mm.
We don't have the factories in Ghana to produce them.
Mm-hmm.
Because of the challenges with the closing of the borders, we are unable to import at the moment. If we want to ship it to Ghana, it will take about 3 months for us to actually get them.
Mm.
So we have to buy from the local market, but we are unable to buy in larger quantities. So it has delayed our production processes. It has taken longer for customers to get their products.
Mm.
So it's a big challenge for us. We are looking for how to fix that particular problem too. If with more investment, we're able to buy in larger quantities, which is helpful.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Then also the other challenge we have has to do with having a standard quality for the sandals that we are producing. At the moment, we are engaging 2 shoe manufacturers, but then you'll be able to see that the standard are not the same.
Mm.
And especially because they are working with a material that they are not used to. Mm-hmm. It's a new material. It's not like the leather that they've been working with before. So how the material interacts with the other production raw materials is different.
Mm-hmm.
Then they need to be able to understand that they need to work in a certain way to achieve that same quality. So we now have to create a standard in terms of what's the quality of the raw material they need to work with all the time, how they need to go about the production process to make sure that the quality is the same across board. That's the other challenge that we need to fix. Then also we need to develop our export markets. We need to develop our export platforms. For some funny reason, exporting and shipping things from Africa and Ghana is very expensive.
Yes.
If we need to ship one of the sandals, which is about 80, it's less than a kilo. After you package everything, let's assume it's just 1 kilo. That would cost like $60.
Yeah.
As the product plus the shipping will cost $60
to
ship one of their sandals to anybody anywhere in the world. So when people do inquiries and they realize the shipping cost is so expensive, then they lose interest.
Yeah,
that's a big problem. It's a big problem for us, because for us to be able to expand and grow and develop our export markets, we have to figure out a proper plan and a proper way around that particular problem.
And it would be interesting for students to pursue why that is right now with respect to Africa, African countries. And then, as you say, if there are any workarounds that can be executed there.
Yes. And then also, our other challenge is to be able to find strategic partners in the value chain, supply chain that we can work with. That is in terms of having more established shoe manufacturing companies that we can partner with, that can offer some capacity and leadership building support for us to grow our brand. Mm-hmm. That will be very critical for us. Wholesale and retail outlets that are global brands that we can associate with, that are willing to take our brands into their spaces to sell. Then also research institutions that we can work with to further continue researching and improving upon the product. So these are some of the key areas. And then also helping us to develop an effective investment and funding program around the project, where we can be able to attract more investment to be able to push the project beyond just Ghana, because I would like to open some facilities in selected African countries and even outside Africa to push the project. So these are some of the key challenges that we need help with.
So looking at it from the other side, and looking at it from the standpoint of a totally internal Ghanaian solution.
Yeah.
Is there a prospect for, and I imagine this is why some of the people are buying the shoes now, but developing this pride, this ethos internally to say, we are going to wear these shoes. These, first of all, these are Ghana-made shoes, and they're made with plastic waste that's making our environment better because we're extracting this waste from the environment. You know, does that give you a special position in terms of branding and marketing within the country, within the community?
Oh yes, it does. Not just the community, not just the city, not just the country, not just the continent, but even globally. When I traveled to the UK last year in Dubai, one of the things I've realized is that globally, governments are looking for recycling solutions that are sustainable, that can be used to create jobs at the same time. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot of these solutions that can be scaled. There's not a lot of these solutions that can use state-of-the-art machinery that is available, that can be duplicated and replicated in a lot of other places. So for us as Mckingtorch, and for me, yes, that is a pride for me that we are creating an innovation from plastic waste in the way we are doing it. And it is something that we are not just influencing the country, we are not just influencing the continent, but we are influencing the whole world. And people have that pride that when they buy from us, they are contributing to keeping plastic waste out of the environment, which is actually polluting the environment. So yes, it's very crucial and it's very good for our brand.
Mm-hmm. So just two more questions. One would be, what's your biggest concern about the prospects for the business at this point?
Well, my biggest concern for the prospect about the business is for this thing to work, there has to be a better enabling environment. And when it comes to enabling environment, the regulatory environment, the government being able to give us some tax incentives, because we are actually trying to solve a social problem. These are problems that we are expecting governments to be solving on the national level. And I, as a startup, a small business, is creating a sustainable solution to it, which can also fix employment. If governments can do some investments along that line and reach out to my business, that will be very crucial for me. Looking at also regional trade within the continent is also a challenge. And that aspect also, if it's fixed, it can support our expansion drive also very much. In terms of access to waste, there's so much waste in the environment, there's so much waste on the continent. That is not much of a problem, but then having an effective waste recovery program that goes beyond just programs that have been developed by just the companies, individual companies themselves, is important. Having a national program where a government is supporting to make sure that all this waste is being recovered and is accessible as a raw material to those of us working in the sector is very crucial, is very key. And also extending funding support for research and development in this area is very crucial. So these are some of the things I believe that need to be looked at.
Okay. So, you've been thinking about this business for a while. It's seems like it's kind of been a dream, the things that you're doing now.
Yeah.
If you look down the road 5 to 10 years and things have gone the way that you wanted them to go, what does the situation look like at that point?
Well, for me, 5 to 10 years, we're looking at having facilities across the continents and across the world. Recycling waste into a lot of more sustainable long-term products. So we are not just looking at sandals, we are looking at roofing sheets from waste, we are looking at building panels from waste that can be used to replace wood for construction industry. We are looking at further research into using waste for in the area of agriculture, greenhouse, and all that. So using this to be able to create thousands of jobs for people across the continent, And then also keeping the waste out of the environment and creating wealth from it is key. So having facilities across the continent is, in the long term, is what we seek to achieve, and creating millions of jobs actually from it down the road. This is the key thing we want to do.
Okay. Well, I hope you're successful in that, and I hope that your work with the class will put you in that direction.
I'm excited already, and I can't wait to connect with them. You are going to be able to create wealth. I always tell people that Africa has some of the biggest problems in the world. What that means is that Africa has some of the biggest opportunities in the world, because where there are problems, there are opportunities.
Exactly.
So if you want to create a value, just pick the problems that are there, make a list of the problems, and ask yourself, which of these problems are you passionate about that you want to tackle, and just start creating a solution for it. And that is just it.
Yes. All right. Well, that's what my class is about, because if you can identify those large problems and put a business model in place around that, where you can monetize solving the problem, then at some point the problems go away. You don't have problems anymore, right?
Definitely.
So that's really, but people haven't really developed the expertise around doing that adequately. And so many businesses just get started because somebody has an idea one day, right? It's not systematically about how can I address this problem with a business.
That's true. And I think one of the other challenges, especially on the continent, and these challenges are challenges the course you are running is tackling, is that we don't have leadership capacity building support programs targeted at these young people with entrepreneurship ideas.